Welcome to the Cala Builders podcast.
Glad to be here.
But seriously, welcome to today's deep dive. We're going to playfully pivot right into our usual format here because we have a really fascinating stack of materials to go through today.
Yeah, we really do.
We are exploring the operational profile of Cala Builders, which is a premier general contractor out in Los Angeles. And alongside that, they just put out this incredibly detailed 2026 guide called Modern Hardscape Trends for California Backyards.
Which is just a goldmine of information, honestly.
Totally. So our mission today is twofold. First, we are going to decode how the ultimate California backyard is being radically reimagined right now. And second, we really want to look under the hood at the actual mechanics of a top-tier construction firm that's making this stuff happen.
Right, because it's one thing to design it and it's another to actually build it.
Exactly. The goal here is to help you, the listener, learn to think like a master contractor for your own space. Whether you're doing a full remodel or just dreaming one up.
And setting the tone here, I think what's truly compelling when you look at these sources is how modern design is basically bridging this massive gap between raw, elemental nature, things like stone and fire and high-end, almost invisible technology.
Yeah, it's wild.
It is.
Yeah.
And to pull that off without the final product feeling artificial or forced, it requires this level of precision behind the scenes that frankly, breaks a lot of the old rules of residential construction.
I mean, think about the classic nightmare scenario, right? You spend, say, $300,000 on a huge backyard renovation.
Oh boy, yeah.
And your visionary architect designs this stunning hillside water feature, but then your foundation contractor physically cannot build it.
Happens all the time.
Or they try, and midway through you get hit with a $50,000 change order because the soil can't hold it.
Right, because the old system is just so fragmented. You've got brilliant designers on one side and skilled builders on the other, but they're speaking totally different languages.
Which means you can't build these new 2026 smart yards using that old model. If the concrete guys aren't synced up with the Wi-Fi technicians, the whole illusion just falls apart.
It absolutely does.
So before we even look at the trends, we need to understand who is actually executing these visions. Cala Builders is located right on West Pico Boulevard in LA. They operate under license number 1032013, which is, fully active and verified.
Always good to check that.
Always. And their service area is huge. We're talking Los Angeles, Pasadena, the San Fernando Valley, and Santa Monica.
And working across that specific footprint, that practically requires engineering for entirely different biomes.
Oh, right, because of the weather differences.
Exactly. If a builder's working in Santa Monica, they are dealing with this dense, salty marine layer. That salt accelerates oxidation like crazy.
It just eats through everything.
It does. It will corrode standard hardware and lighting fixtures in a matter of months. But then you drive 20 miles inland to the San Fernando Valley.
And it's like 105 degrees.
Yeah, extreme dry summer heat. That causes rapid thermal expansion, which will easily crack the wrong kind of poured concrete if you aren't prepared for it.
Not to mention all the hillside construction they specialize in out there. Building on a slope in LA isn't just leveling some dirt, it's serious soil retention, bedrock anchoring, huge retaining walls.
Just to keep the house from sliding down the canyon.
Literally. And they handle all of that, plus new custom homes, luxury remodeling, and ADUs. Which, by the way, accessory dwelling units are exploding in California right now.
Oh, they are everywhere. The zoning laws changed to combat housing density, so now everyone wants one.
And we aren't talking about a dusty tool shed. These are fully permitted, high-end rental units or remote work studios that have to match the main house perfectly.
Right. And to manage that level of complexity, CLA's profile highlights a really specific team structure. They don't just farm out the work to whatever subcontractor happens to be free that week.
Which is usually how it goes, sadly.
Yeah. But they maintain dedicated, specialized in-house roles. They've got roofing specialists, full-time safety inspectors.
Wow, full-time just for safety.
Yeah, their whole job is code compliance across all those different municipalities, plus an internal quality control team.
Okay, let's unpack this, because this right here is the mechanism that changes everything for you as a homeowner. They operate on what the industry calls a design-build model.
Exactly.
And I like to think of traditional contracting like trying to direct a movie with 5 different scripts. You've got an architect writing one part, the permit runner's doing another, the builder's reading something else. It's chaotic.
It's a mess.
But the design build model is like having a master director who also wrote the script. Everything, the architectural planning, the permitting, the design, the actual hammering of the nails, it all happens under one single roof. The vision actually remains intact.
Because it collapses the timeline and keeps everyone on the same page. The structural realities inform the design from day one. It just streamlines communication and really helps control the budget.
But wait, let me push back on this for a second. If everything is under one roof, doesn't that limit creative friction?
How do you mean?
Well, usually you think of an independent architect as this visionary who drags a stubborn builder kicking and screaming into doing something new. Does the design-build model just lead to safe, boring designs because the architect won't design something the builder thinks is too hard to build?
That is the conventional wisdom, sure.
Mm-hmm.
But the reality of luxury construction shows the exact opposite. It actually enhances creativity.
Really? How so?
Well, say an architect proposes this wild, cantilevered outdoor kitchen floating over a hillside. An outside builder might just reject it outright. Too risky, too hard. But in a design-build firm, the structural engineer is sitting right across the desk.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, they can immediately say, hey, we can do that if we sink 2 steel caissons here and here. The creativity is grounded in physical reality, so those wild ideas actually get built instead of just dying on a blueprint.
That is such a huge takeaway for anyone listening. When you're planning a renovation, even just a kitchen or an ADU, prioritizing a streamlined communication model like that is just as important as picking out your tiles.
Definitely. You are choosing an operating system for your property.
So now that we understand the machine that builds these things, let's look at what clients in places like Pasadena and Santa Monica are actually asking for. The 2026 trends.
This is the fun part.
It really is. So the primary trend we're seeing is this massive use of natural materials. The guide highlights stone, untreated heavy woods, board-formed concrete.
Yeah, it's a very earthy aesthetic.
And they are using this for everything: patios, walkways, retaining walls. It's designed to be durable, but also to weather naturally and just blend right in with the greenery.
Which taps directly into biophilic design.
Yeah.
It's this psychological understanding that we humans have a hardwired need to connect with nature. Using raw, tactile materials instead of, synthetic plastics actually reduces cortisol levels.
That makes total sense. You just feel more relaxed.
You do. But these aren't just passive Zen gardens to look at. The guide is huge on multifunctional spaces.
Right. And here's where it gets really interesting. Because this multifunctional trend is essentially taking the open concept indoor floor plan where your kitchen flows right into your living room and applying it completely to the outdoors.
Exactly.
We're seeing integrated outdoor kitchens with built-in grills, permanent counters, storage, right alongside these cozy fire pits that are set up for socializing.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this is a fundamental shift in residential architecture. The center of gravity for entertaining has permanently moved out the back door.
It really has.
Historically, the indoor living room or dining room was the main event. The backyard was just some grass for the kids to run around on. Now, the cooking, the eating, the socializing, it's all happening under the sky.
But that raises a big practical question. If you have a kitchen, a dining area, a fire pit, and a garden all in one Los Angeles backyard...
Which are notoriously not always massive.
Yeah. Right. They can be pretty tight.
Yeah.
So how does a builder prevent it from just feeling like a cluttered mess? How do they use the hardscaping to create, I guess, invisible walls?
Yeah, the secret there is what landscape architects call spatial organizers. You use elevation changes and material transitions to define the rooms without actual walls.
Give me an example of how that would feel walking through it.
Okay, so imagine you step out your back door onto a smooth, poured concrete surface. That texture signals you are in the kitchen zone. But then, to reach the fire pit lounge, you step down just 6 inches onto a deck made of rich natural wood.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that single elevation drop, combined with the new texture under your feet, subconsciously tells your brain you've crossed a threshold into a different room.
That is brilliant.
A low stone retaining wall can act as the backrest for an outdoor sofa. A crushed gravel path acts as the hallway connecting everything. It organizes the space perfectly.
And that's something you, as a listener, can steal for your own yard right now. Even if you just have a small patio, laying down a specific outdoor rug or building a slight wooden platform for your grill instantly creates those invisible walls.
It completely changes how the space feels.
Yeah.
But creating these complex, open concept outdoor rooms requires so much hidden infrastructure.
Right. It's not just dropping some nice rocks and wood down.
Not at all. It requires balancing California's environmental realities with the homeowner's desire for convenience. It's a mix of eco-sustainability and smart tech.
Let's break down the eco-friendly stuff first. The guide lists things like permeable pavers, recycled stones, artificial turf, and gravel paths.
The permeable pavers are huge.
Why are they so important?
Well, with traditional concrete, when it rains, the water just sheets off. It picks up motor oil, fertilizer, all these pollutants, and washes them straight into the municipal storm drains.
Which go right into the Pacific Ocean.
Exactly. But permeable pavers are engineered with special joints and sub-bases, so the rainwater literally seeps through the hardscape.
Oh, so it filters it.
Yes, it naturally filters through the soil and recharges the local groundwater. It's critical for places like Santa Monica.
And they pair that heavily with native California plants, right? Because those plants evolved to survive in that specific biome.
Right, so you drastically reduce the water you need to use, and you cut way down on maintenance while still getting all this great natural color.
So you've got this incredibly rugged, eco-friendly foundation, but then you pivot to the smart tech side of this 2026 guide, and it is honestly wild.
It's basically a digitized ecosystem.
Yeah. We're talking about Wi-Fi-enabled fire pits, smart irrigation systems that pull real-time weather data, weatherproof speakers hidden in the native plants, smart grills that sync to your smartphone.
Well, and the ambient lighting.
Right. Smart LED pathways and string lights where you can dial in the exact warmth and intensity on an app.
What's fascinating here is the brilliant paradox of the 2026 backyard.
How do you mean?
Well, we are using highly advanced, completely invisible technology, like cloud-connected sprinklers and Wi-Fi fire pits, to achieve a deeply primal natural experience.
That's a great point. So what does this all mean? I like to use the smartwatch analogy for this. A 2026 backyard is kind of as a luxury hybrid smartwatch.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, because on the outside, it looks like this rugged, classic, analog piece of nature. Stone, wood, fire. But underneath, it is secretly powered by a supercomputer to make the maintenance effortless.
Exactly. The tech is entirely subservient to the aesthetic. The homeowner's cognitive load is just gone. You don't want to see the wiring for the smart sprinklers. You just want a beautiful garden without the chore of watering it.
Right.
And you don't want to spend 20 minutes trying to light damp wood in a fire pit. You just want the warmth and the ambiance instantly.
But let me ask you a philosophical question on that. Is the ultimate goal of putting all this smart tech into our backyards to make us interact with our screens more while we're outside? Or is it to automate the chore so we can finally put our screens down?
It's definitely the latter. The intent is the exact opposite of screen addiction. The automation buys back your attention.
Really?
Yeah, you interact with the screen for 5 seconds to set the lights and start the fire, precisely so you don't have to interact with the environment or your phone for the next 5 hours.
Wow, so you use the screen to defeat the screen.
Exactly. You put it in your pocket, the friction is gone, and you can just be present with the people around the fire pit.
But again, that only works if the tech is totally invisible. Which brings us right back to why that design build model is so crucial.
Absolutely.
If you just buy a smart sprinkler and slap it into a poorly graded yard, you aren't going to get a biophilic paradise.
No, you're going to get a mess. The electrician running the conduit for those smart LEDs has to be communicating flawlessly with the Hardscape team building the retaining wall.
Because if they're working from conflicting blueprints, the conduit gets exposed, the tech becomes visible, and that whole natural illusion is ruined.
Yep. CLA Builders isn't just laying down a patio. They are engineering an integrated ecosystem.
Well said. We've covered a lot of ground today on this deep dive. Let's recap real quick. We started by looking at how a top-tier design-build firm operates from the ground up, keeping architects, builders, and inspectors all on the same team to avoid those fragmented nightmare scenarios.
And then we explored how that streamlined machinery is producing the 2026 aesthetic. We looked at the natural materials, the multifunctional outdoor kitchens, and how builders use elevation changes to create invisible walls.
And finally, we unpack that paradox of blending raw nature with invisible, eco-friendly smart technology. And whether you are prepping to hire a contractor for an ADU or just daydreaming about replacing your lawn with native plants and permeable pavers, understanding these trends gives you so much power.
It really does.
It gives you the vocabulary to demand both rugged beauty and brilliant functionality in your own space.
It lets you view your property as a holistic, integrated environment.
Which leaves me with one final, slightly provocative thought for you to mull over. As our backyards become these fully equipped, climate-controlled, smart living spaces with kitchens and Wi-Fi, will the traditional indoor living room eventually become entirely obsolete?
That is a fascinating question.
I mean, why sit inside four walls when the outside has been perfectly engineered for your comfort? Just something for you to ponder the next time you step out onto your patio. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
See you next time.